Genesis chapter 14, verses 1 to 24. 14. In the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, 2. They made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Birsha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, also called Zoar. 3 all these joined together in the valley of Siddim, also called the Salt Sea. 4. They served Chedorlaomer for 12 years, and in the 13th year they rebelled. 5. In the 14th year Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him came and struck the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in Shaveh Kiriathaim, 6, and the Horites in their Mount Seir, to El Paran, which is by the wilderness. 7. They returned and came to En Mishpat, also called Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites that lived in Hazazon Tamar. 8. The king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, also called Zoar, went out, and they set the battle in array against them in the valley of Siddim. 9. Against Chedorlaomer king of Elam, Tidal king of Goim, Amraphel king of Shinar, and Arioch king of Elasar. 4 kings against the 5. 10. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, and some fell there. Those who remained fled to the hills. 11. They took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and all their food, and went their way. 12. They took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who lived in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. 13. One who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew. At that time he lived by the oaks of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner. They were allies of Abram. 14. When Abram heard that his relative was taken captive, he led out his 318 trained men, born in his house, and pursued as far as Dan. 15. He divided himself against them by night, he and his servants, and struck them, and pursued them to Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. 16. He brought back all the goods, and also brought back his relative Lot and his goods, and the women also, and the other people. 17. The king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and the kings who were with him, at the valley of Shaveh, that is, the king's valley. 18. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was priest of God Most High. 19. He blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. 20. Blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. Abram gave him 1/10 of all. 21. The king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people and take the goods for yourself. 22. Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up my hand to Yahweh, God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. 23. That I will not take a thread, nor a sandal strap, nor anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. 24. I will accept nothing from you except that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. Hey, welcome to my channel. This is Bible Study World English Bible, chapter 14, verses 1 to 24. Here's a recap of what we have learned from Genesis chapter 14, verses 1 to 24. In the past, there were giants in the earth, men of renown. And in the latter days, it shall be. A very big thing happened in verse 22. What was that? That the king of Sodom made an offer to Abram? What was that offer? That he and his nephew Lot should take all the goods of the cities, all the silver and gold, all the cattle, all the movable property, everything they could lay their hands on and go their way. Now, this was a very generous offer. Why? Because they had just rescued Lot from the kings who tried to capture him. So the king of Sodom thought that he would make this big offer to Abraham and his nephew Lot. But Abraham refused to take even the smallest thing from the cities, not even a thread or a shoelace or a piece of clothing. In fact, he wouldn't even take anything that was his by right, not even a single thing. Why is that? Because God had said to him in verse 21, "Do not take anything, not even a thread or a shoelace or a piece of clothing." Why did God tell Abraham not to take anything? Because God wanted to show everyone that he was in charge, that he was the one who gave Abram this victory. Not his own might nor the might of any other nation, but the power of God Most High. Now, Abraham refused the offer of the king of Sodom, but he didn't refuse the offer of Melchizedek. Who was Melchizedek? The Bible says that he was the king of Salem, but he was also a priest of the Most High God. Remember what I told you last week, that Melchizedek was a type of Christ, the first of the order of Melchizedek, which is another name for priests. And so Melchizedek gave bread and wine to Abraham and his company, and then he blessed him. His name means King of Righteousness, and he was the king of Salem, which means Jerusalem. And he blessed Abraham with a doxology. You know what a doxology is? It's a statement that praises God and gives him glory. And in this case, it was a prophecy. Let me read it to you. "Blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand." Notice the word delivered. When God delivered the enemies into the hand of Abraham, it wasn't by his own power. It was by the power of the Most High God. And so Abraham gave him a tenth of everything he had, a tenth of the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah, and a tenth of all the cattle, sheep, and goats. Now, Abraham gave this tithe to Melchizedek because he was a priest of the Most High God. He was a king of Salem, the ancient name for Jerusalem, and he was a type of Christ. I want you to notice something else. Abraham, after he received this blessing, paid the tithes to Melchizedek, but he never tithed to the king of Sodom. Why is that? Because the blessing came from God through Melchizedek, and so he gave his tithe to Melchizedek. But the king of Sodom didn't bless him, so he didn't give anything to him. Well, that's what I want to share with you today, that when God blesses us, we should remember that he deserves the first fruits and the tithe. So once again, thank you for watching my Bible study content on chapter 14. Please don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the Bible study content. There is more to come, because I am planning on doing the whole Bible. God bless you until next time.